expected, to be living like the guys were that first went into the country and stuff like that.
Or the main creature comforts that the guys and gals like there?
There weren't too many creature comforts on Ramadi because it was strictly a combat base at that time, back in 2005. I mean, we had a PX. It wasn't really big, but it had a decent supply. We had a phone center, so you could call home and use your AT&T phone cards there.
Yeah.
And we had a barbershop, so you could keep your military tradition. But didn't really have much else.
Yeah. What do guys and gals do in their free time?
Most people, would buy a PlayStation 2 or a regular Xbox from the PX, or have something mailed to them, and they'd hook it up in their little room there, and they play that, or they, watch a movie on their computer, or.
What were the most popular video games?
I think a lot of people played some kind of online game. I think they either played Halo or some kind of Call of Duty. I think that was the big popular thing that everyone was doing.
How about you?
Different things, different video games. Played some computer games every now and then, but mostly watched a lot of movies. I brought a big collection with me, so I had a lot to pick from, and there was a decent supply every week or month at the PX, so I'd buy a couple more ones.
Did you have a go-to movie? Your favorite over there?
I think King Arthur became my favorite movie over there, and that's actually when it became my favorite movie, is when I was over there. There was a lot of themes of, brotherhood and unity as, soldiers go through that movie, and there's a song in that movie called "We Will Go Home," and every time I heard it, I thought, how much I want to be home. So it definitely became my favorite movie to watch when I was really just down in the dumps, about being in that country, or, just demoralized somehow. And, there were a lot of days like that, a lot of days you just sort of like, thank God you were still alive,
Yeah.
Especially, with all the hazards and dangers you go through, IEDs and mortars and rocket attacks, and a lot of days you're just thankful you made it through the day.
Did you get to call home very often, and if so, did you?
There was no restriction on how often you got to call home. The only time you couldn't call home was if someone did get killed, and then they'd shut down all communication, all internet, because they didn't want someone that knew the deceased to call their family before the Army got to notify them.
Right.
And I guess that had been happening previously, and it's really, really bad form to be calling up someone's, wife or mother and say your kid got killed in an IED today. It's better that the military does that in the way they do it, and it's very, respectful, instead of just, dropping it on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
But you got to go home pretty much whenever you wanted to when that didn't happen, and I tried to call home at least a couple times a month. Like
Who'd
I said,
you call?
My mom or my brother. And the only reason that I called them is because they were home more often than not to answer the phone, and you didn't really have time to sit there and call and call and call. And also you only had your AT&T phone card, so you didn't want to use up all your minutes trying to call. So I called them, and a lot of times my mom would pick up, and whenever we got mortared, there was an air raid kind of siren that went off on the base to let you know that we had been attacked. So one day I'm on the phone with her saying, I'm doing good, Mom, such and such, and the air raid noise goes off. She's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, that's the siren for chow. They're telling us it's time for chow. Yeah, I gotta go now. And, she didn't want to know that we'd just been attacked by a mortar, so, you lie to them to let them know that you're alright. And really, I had to go let my chain of command know that I was still alive, so I had to get off the phone with her anyway, but, that was probably, the worst of my two deployments was the first one. Just like every day, you weren't sure what was going to happen. I mean, there was a guy, a Marine, on our base. He was on his way home. It was his last day in country. And he came outside his barracks to smoke a cigarette, and a mortar landed on him, and he was dead. I mean, that could happen to anybody at any time, so... And just some of the things you see over there, I mean, just really ugly things, and you really, really get scared sometimes.
Were you able to sleep in theater? I mean...
Sleeping was a problem sometimes, but most times, after working 12, 15-hour days, you just sort of passed out. And the one day I told you about that we left at 3 and came back at 11, I was so exhausted. My body armor came off, but nothing else came off. The boots were still on, and I passed out on my bed, didn't wake up till 8 o'clock the next morning. I mean,
how do you stay awake for that long? Coffee?
Lots of caffeine. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I have to find alternate sources of caffeine, but, you know, either you get some energy drinks or you get some caffeine, and you just, you know, try and tough through it, because you can't say, oh, I'm tired, or, you know, I can't do this, because, you know.
Where'd you get the energy drink? They're handing them out, or how does that work?
Oh, no, every base, even the smaller ones, have some kind of PX.
Okay.
So you go and you buy them at the PX, and they're decent price, you know, everything's tax-free in the military, so it's not hard to get access to stuff. I mean, at that point, I mean, when you first invade a country, you don't have stuff like that, but, you know, it's built up to that point. So you just go and buy them, and, you know, you bring them with you. You're always making sure that you're prepared as a soldier to do whatever you're not expecting to do. You know, that's what you prepare for, the unexpected.
So as your deployment's drawing on, did you have a midterm leave or a mid-tour leave?
We had 2 leaves. We had a 10-day leave from Mississippi, and then we had a 16-day leave during the tour in Iraq, and that was dependent upon when you scheduled it. I scheduled mine for March, and that was a really, really long time to wait to go home on leave. I mean, by the time like January and February rolled around, I was going stir crazy.
Most people had gone before you?
Yeah, I mean, I was, you know, one of the last couple waves to go. So, you know, everyone had come back from leave and looked all happy because they got to see their family, and, you know, I wanted nothing else than to get out of that country and to just be on U.S. soil. And you really, really start appreciating the things we take for granted here in this country when you do something like that, like having a bathroom a few feet away from where you're sleeping, or, you know, being able to do your laundry in your own house, or, I don't know, just different kinds of stuff. And people take them for granted, but, you know, when you're in a situation like that, you just don't have them at all sometimes.
What was the, I mean, you got 14 days at home. What is the thing that you enjoyed the most, whether it's singular or large or simple? Or
honestly, I couldn't tell you for sure what I did most of the 16 days because I was drunk a lot of it. But I remember the time I spent with my family was definitely very special to me. I was very glad to see everybody, and they were very glad to see me, obviously. And it was just really, really nice to be, you know, home, and to be able to go to a mall, or, you know, go to a bar, and, you know, just do the things that we take for granted in this country, you know, that, you know, soldiers, you know, make sure we have. And it was just really, really nice to be home.
And your last day of leave, you're getting ready to head back to the airport. What are you thinking?
Oh, God. That was horrible. Because, I mean, you know what you're going back to, and you know how exhausting it is to get there. I mean, it's
the
like
actual travel, too.
Yeah, it's like an 18-hour plane ride. And I think Lewis Black said it best. I mean, if you're on a plane for more than 6 hours, it's like taking your hands and squeezing your head and not letting go for another 16 hours. It's unbearably long. And there is no first class on military chartered flights. They're all coach seats, and you're all crammed in there. You know, you try and go to sleep, and they try to, like, distract you. They put on a movie every couple hours, or they try and bring you some food, but it's airplane food, and, you know, it's horrible. So, yeah, it's not fun flying to Iraq, or to, well, you fly to Kuwait, and then from Kuwait is where you go to Iraq or Afghanistan. But it's not fun. And then you get there, and you get to smell that lovely stench again, and, you know, feel that 140-degree heat. So, yeah, you're not looking forward to go back there.
You're winding down your deployment by the time you get back. You have about, what, 2 or 3 months left? Somewhere in that neighborhood? When you returned from leave, how much time did you have left?
Oh, yeah, about 2-3 months.
How did your unit begin to draw down? I mean, was there a change in operational tempo, or it was just kind of a continuous pace?
The pace pretty much held steady from day 1 to day 365.
How did your unit gauge success, like for your particular department? Was it the number of vehicles that were maintained, or supply convoys?
All of the above. Maintenance is gauged on your ability to turn around. So if a vehicle is brought into you on Tuesday, and you get it mission capable on Tuesday, you're successful as a maintenance section. And our maintenance section was outstanding. You know, the mechanics, you know, busted their humps every day out in that ungodly heat, you know, while the computer guys had to be in the air conditioning because of the computers. And, you know, we went out there and we tried to help them as best we could, you know, we're not mechanics, so there's limit to what we can do.